Hey there, thanks for tuning into DuckBricks. I'm Chris, and if you aren't aware, BrickCon 2022 very recently happened here in Seattle, Washington. You may have actually seen me wearing this exact shirt on the floor. I was out there giving away masks and meeting people. It was a fantastic time. But now it's time to talk about the convention itself and the amazing haul I got from the Brick Bazaar. So in case you aren't aware, BrickCon is personally, I believe, one of the best LEGO conventions in the world. It is one of the largest ones, and it is held every year, first weekend of October, here in Seattle at the Seattle Convention Center, and is basically a gathering place for AFOLs and just general fans of LEGO to come and celebrate some of the most impressive MOCs imaginable. Something really special is that the centerpiece of my collection, which is this model right here, a reimagined version of the Aqua Neptune Discovery Lab, was originally actually shown off at BrickCon. I believe it was BrickCon 2019 or 2019 BrickCon. I did not go to that one because unfortunately I was in college, but I was able to purchase the model from the seller right after he displayed it at BrickCon. I was able to fly back and purchase it, so this is a very special model in my collection, and it's just a taste of some of the amazing things you could have seen at BrickCon itself. Of course, I would love to talk about the convention itself, and I've taken a lot of photos sharing some of my favorite MOCs and of course some of the coolest things to find at the Brick Bazaar, so stay tuned because we've got all that coming up in this video and so much more, with of course a massive haul from the Brick Bazaar to end the video. Let's go!
Now, BrickCon has been a yearly tradition for myself and my friends for a very long time. I think the first BrickCon I went to is when I was first really getting into LEGO. That must have been around 2008 or 2009, and I pretty much went every single year since, all the way up until I went to college, where unfortunately it was a little less practical to fly back to Seattle from Philadelphia. I went to Philly BrickFest instead during those years, but now I'm back in Seattle, I'm working, and I was able to go to BrickCon, as well as share the amazement that is BrickCon with a couple of my high school and college friends as well. Now, BrickCon is, again, one of the most amazing LEGO conventions out there, because not only do you have some state-of-the-art MOCs that are really kind of the most advanced things that you'll see in the most impressive, largest displays, but you also have the massive Brick Bazaar, and that is probably the most exciting part of BrickCon to me. It's like going into a used LEGO store if it was the space of a convention center and had pretty much everything you could possibly hope for. Now, here's a bit of a catch. You see, because this is a LEGO convention, a lot of the sets that you're gonna find at the Brick Bazaar are usually a little on the pricey side, especially compared to Bricklink. However, you can't beat the sheer variety, and there were still some good deals to be had, so we will be taking a very close look at the Bazaar later on in the video, but as of right now, I think it's time we just jump right into the more modern 2022 BrickCon pictures, because all of these are actually from previous years, and kind of tracking through my commemorative history and old hauls. Like, this was one of my oldest hauls from Bricklink many years ago, down the lineup of what we had. So I made sure that when I went to BrickCon, I did not go empty-handed. Back in October of 2022, I believe about a few days before BrickCon, or maybe about a week before, I made an announcement on this channel that I would be also bringing with me special giveaways from my resin and 3D printed plastic store, which was basically a bunch of Bionicle masks in different colors and different molds and whatnot, and specialized Bionicle pieces that I would just be giving away for free to anybody who asked me, uttered the word Kanohi. So I came prepared with a ton of these. This is just a really small sample of all the giveaways that I had, and by the time it was over, I had basically given away every single one of these. You can actually buy some of these masks from me at my Big Cartel store down in the description below. I have pretty much all the different colors of Metro mask packs and Tuyet and Nadiki stuff and all sorts of crazy masks on there, over 100 different products, so do go check that out if you want. But I wanted to do something special to give back to BrickCon this year and just give a lot of stuff away for free, and so if you met me at BrickCon, then you probably got one of these packs. Now, joining me at BrickCon were two walking DuckBricks advertisements, I mean friends. You can see my friends Jake and Brian here. They've appeared on the channel quite a few times before in different building challenges and early videos and whatnot, but this was their first BrickCon, so I made sure to bring them. And I also got a chance to meet a ton of awesome people and members of the LEGO community, like the Brick Stop, as well as Forge Vartok and other members of the Bionicle community, which you can see there. Unfortunately, I took a ton of pictures with a ton of people who came up to me and wanted to take photos, but I realized that I was kind of dumb and forgot to ask permission to showcase any of these photos in the video, so those are the only two you're getting. I chose basically people who have public online profiles or have appeared in other DuckBricks videos. Do go check out the Brick Stop. He makes amazing castle mocks, and we have some great content coming up soon from Forge Vartaka and more stuff like that, so I've included those pictures, but unfortunately, because I just completely forgot to ask people's permission for putting them in the video, I just don't have any other pictures of me meeting folks, but maybe next year I will definitely go and ask for permission next time for sure. Now, immediately upon going in, I went in. I think I was one of the first people inside. You can see right now the video is pretty empty. The conference hall was not full of a ton of people because the doors had literally just opened. We got there super early. I dragged my friends out at like 7:30, 8 a.m. and I was like, we gotta line up for this, because as you saw, that line was a really long one stretching in. So I promise you it's a lot more busy than this, but what was good was that in the early hours of the morning when it first opened, like literally this was within, I believe, 5 minutes of opening, we had a chance to basically just have free reign over what we wanted to look at, what types of things we wanted to check out, all the mocks we wanted to see, and get a chance to really appreciate all the builds for what we were. Now, of course, after chatting a little bit with other members of the LEGO and Bionicle community who I'd known from online, which you can see right here, I immediately went straight to the Brick Bazaar, and I essentially had my cameraman as well as my couple of friends. I mean, I said, oh, you can go out and look at whatever you want. I'll join you at some point. I gotta get my work done first, which is figuring out what I'm getting at the Brick Bazaar and at the vendor stations, so I almost immediately went off to that, but we will be saving all that for the end of the video, and instead be taking a look at some of the best mocks that I was able to enjoy just to really experience over the course of checking out BrickCon, because there were a lot of really amazing, incredible mocks here, and I really do want to give a spotlight to each and every one of the ones that I found impressive. So over the course of this video, essentially we were going to be taking a look at all sorts of different kind of LEGO creations and builds, and I really kind of want to, again, emphasize some of my favorites. This will be a little bit of a different style of video where there's going to be a lot of just kind of empty space. I'll play some music in the background, and I'll let you walk through and enjoy the mocks as if you were there yourself. I don't want to have to provide a commentary on every single thing, but I'll pop in to make commentary on certain mocks that stand out to me if the occasion arises, because there certainly were quite a lot of very unique things here, especially this completely moving Aqua Zone display, complete with a moving monorail and all sorts of lights and moving submarines and aquatic vehicles. This was actually a collaboration between a ton of different builders who were told to make Aqua Zone inspired LEGO mocks. I love the way the light is kind of firing out of almost like a railgun or engine of that submarine there. This is just such an incredibly detailed build, and don't worry, there will be many more pictures. I took a lot of photos of this particular set of builds here. This was kind of my first time seeing it, so I was just really taking it in, not really taking a ton of pictures here, but we'll come back to that in a little bit, because that was probably one of my favorite parts of the entire thing. You got the stingrays, you have the aqua sharks and everything, so just an incredible work of art, and as you can see, there were so many different creations on display here. This was my first initial walkthrough. Of course, I had to check out the Contraption stuff and the Bionicle stuff, but yeah, let's just kind of let this play, and you can enjoy the mocks. I'll pop in with commentary for stuff that I see fit, and enjoy the video. Here is where I met Daniel, aka Forge Vartaka, for the first time. He was actually featured 3 times on the channel throughout an interview process, which was super cool of him to do that, and he did bring alongside a lot of his mocks on display at BrickCon. But again, if you do want to check them out in detail, I actually did a kind of mini fan-in review on every single one of these builds already on my channel throughout my interviews with him, so do go check those out if you're interested. They're linked in the description below. Now this mock here was an absolutely stunning creation to behold. As you can see, it had not only movement, but it had rotation as well as the fins of the turtle moving, the jaw opening and closing. This was just such a unique build. I loved the concept of a castle just on the back of a gargantuan sea turtle. You can even see some sailors on a rowboat kind of trying to row up to it and get access to the castle itself. I really loved this creation and spent a lot of time looking at all the details of it because this was just so cool to see in general. Now, for both my friends and myself, one of the highlights of the event was BattleBots, or Battle Bricks in this case, where you essentially had these robots fighting each other in a Battlebots-Like Arena, where you have two different robots made from completely different people, and they had a lot of different robots there, competing in different battles, trying to kind of push each other over, knock each other into the walls, which had like power miner wheels rotating on the sides. This was just so much fun to record and be able to see exactly how the fights were going on, and how each robot would fare next to each other. Again, you can see a battle going on here, which was just a really fun sight to behold. You've got kind of the blue and white one trying to flip over the spinning one trying to damage it with the actual spinning blades, but yeah, there you can see it. That was a victory, and that was just the kind of thing you would see. There were regular shows, and one of my friends, Jake, even tried to sign up and actually pilot one of the robots himself, which was really cool to see him actually drive it around, do a little test drive around the exhibit floor. Unfortunately, when it actually came time for the actual battle, the robot, for whatever reason, didn't work. I don't know if it was like the batteries or something like that, but he was up there, he was ready to fight, he was advertising duck bricks on the back of his shirt, and it just didn't really do anything in terms of the robot itself, so that was a bit of a shame. You can see my other friend, myself, and Brian here, we were trying to speculate on who was gonna win this one, but unfortunately, there was no winner because it didn't work, but you know what? Sometimes it doesn't always work, and that's okay. There's always next time. Now, on a completely different topic, those Krata flowers were really good. LEGO needs to do a botanical collection line of Krata, and I managed to take a lot of photos of other mocks like this massive Venator here, which was really cool to see. And of course, here is the massive Aqua Zone display. This was so cool to see for me because I love Aqua Zone. As I stated at the beginning of this video, I have really fond memories, and a really big part of my collection is from an early BrickCon. I think it was BrickCon 2019 or so, which showcased one of these Aqua Zone models, but in really massive form, and this was kind of just another one, and it was so cool to be able to see something like this on display. I love the little submarines, you've got the little manta rays swimming on by, and even like the walking crab legs of the mech there, a big submarine here. This is just such a cool creation. I kind of wish it was for sale because I would be buying it. I don't know where I'd put it, but I know I would want this to add to my collection, to add to the Aqua Zone display I have. The rock work was really impressive to me, and it had a full interior, which is something that the current one set up in my basement does not. It was just so cool to see all of this completely set up. Now, of course, you have the underwater world, but you have just so much actually extra added detail with the submarines, the different factions working alongside each other. Just such a treat to behold, and easily one of my favorite sub-themes is Aqua Zone, so that's why this held a really special place in my heart as to seeing it in the collection itself. I think my friends had the most fun at this section coming up right here, which was the Great Ball Contraption. So if you aren't aware, the Great Ball Contraption is essentially this kind of set of modules where different builders can work together and create different modules for balls to kind of be transported through different systems and different pulleys and kind of elevators and Ferris wheels and all that. It's kind of a celebration of movement in LEGO and all sorts of things that you can do out of LEGO in terms of transporting the little soccer ball or basketball pieces around. This is a pretty common thing to see around different types of LEGO conventions. You can see them almost at every single convention, I want to say, but it was done really well here. It was just so cool being able to see the different modules that people would come up with, and yeah, And there's just something so satisfying about seeing the balls just being moved from one module to the next. I honestly can't really even describe it with words. You have to see the video as you're seeing right here, just seeing all sorts of different modules out of Technic, out of System, even some Bionicle parts in there, and like all sorts of different LEGO contraptions working together to ferry balls from one side to another. So that was just so cool to see here. Very, very, very interesting LEGO creation, and I was just a big fan of how everything worked. The collection on display here was so massive that, as you can see, the GBC, as it's called, literally stretched around an entire table. Like, you can see it starts on one end of the table, and it just keeps going, and it was so cool seeing, again, each and every one of the modules was built by a different creator. There was a different person who had made each and every one of these, and it was so cool to see creativity coming together, and I think that's what LEGO's all about, honestly. It's just seeing builders come together with using parts in all sorts of different ways to really try to kind of create different types of contraptions, to try to feed balls into one machine into another. Just so satisfying to see everything work together. The perfect Rube Goldberg machine. The way that BrickCon is set up is that each of the groupings are collected into different worlds. So you've got like a pirate's land, you have a whole castle area and whatnot, and sci-fi, and of course one of my favorites was the castle area because I love LEGO Castle. I love how builds like those kind of bring back the kind of reminiscence of older vintage stuff, whereas builds like these really push the envelope of what it means to make a fully detailed LEGO castle, and there's all sorts of fantasy stuff, little dioramas, and of course there was a full-on Bionicle section and Bionicle table. That got a really big showing, which I was really impressed with. Just seeing the sheer amount of different Bionicle mocks on display was just so cool to me to be able to check out, and again, it was really cool being able to talk to a lot of people in the community who I recognized by their mocks, who I recognized by photos on like Flickr and Instagram, but I never actually met in person. I didn't even know what they looked like until today, and it was just cool being able to just chat about one of our favorite things and to see all sorts of different Bionicle creations. So shout out to all of the different builders who brought their mocks here. Let's see if maybe viewers in the comments can spot out if there's any one in particular that you recognize from Instagram or online or something like that, because there were a lot of different builders represented here, and Bionicle has always been one of the most popular sections. You can see Forge of Rataka right here alongside his mocks. Bionicle has always been really, really popular at BrickCon, and it's still so cool to see it going strong even to this day. But alas, we are nearing the end of our tour of all of the exhibits here. There are almost too many things I can even talk about here, and I chose to just kind of let the images play and let viewers let me know in the comments, what are your favorite mocks that you see here? Maybe you're a Pirates person, maybe you're Space, maybe you love Western or Castle or Bionicle. I'd love to hear what are your favorite mocks, what stood out to you. I of course talked about the one that really stood out to me, the Aqua Zone stuff, but everything was just so cool to see, and after a very successful day and many LEGO purchases made, it was time to head out. The three of us had conquered BrickCon 2022, and we are so excited for BrickCon 2023, hopefully in October of this year, apparently a little closer to our houses as well. Waiting for us back home was a massive charcuterie spread and a massive board game played with other friends for the rest of the day, so that was a phenomenal day for us. But now it's time to actually take a look at what they had available for all of the different LEGO Brick Bazaar stations. Now, I walked away from BrickCon with a massive haul, and just what you saw in kind of that first picture of me holding a few bags was kind of just the start of it. There were even more bags than that, so let's go take a look at that right now. So basically, there were a ton of local vendors. You see, if you can see me in the back there, just stocking up on different sets. But I walked through a ton of different vendors because a lot of them from around the Seattle and the Washington State area were actually here at BrickCon with all their sets on display. Very cool to see that. We had Bricks and Wheels, which is a local chain of used LEGO stores with their insane collection of like actual sealed vintage sets and a ton of used stuff as well. We had all sorts of different representation from people's brick Bricklink stores and everything, and apparently I talked to the organizers of the convention. The waiting list to be a Brick Bazaar vendor is literally going back years. If you were to sign up today, you may not be able to be a vendor at the Brick Bazaar until like 4, 5, even 6 years in the future. So that is how popular this is. That is how many vendors there are around Washington State. And one thing I didn't really mention in this video, but I think I'm really lucky because the state that I'm in is kind of a hub for LEGO. BrickCon is one of the largest LEGO conventions that they hold out there aside from like the brick fairs and whatnot, and I think it really shows here. There is a massive community of AFOLs and big fans of LEGO at BrickCon, and you can just see the sheer amount of treasures just lining every single wall. Very, very cool to see just so many people selling completely different things. You had like a summer camp representing that focused on LEGO, of course a big emphasis on all sorts of vintage sets. Look at that sealed like Batman Arkham Asylum back there. Just all sorts of crazy stuff that you would never even see, maybe even typically at a used store, because they just wouldn't even have this much variety of stuff, was all right here. It was literally like LEGO heaven, being able to just go through and check out all of the different vendors and see what everybody had for sale. There were bits and pieces of LEGO jewelry, custom LEGO keychains, of course, used sets, sealed sets, new sets, old sets, all sets alike, custom items, minifigs galore, all sorts of different unique items, and I just have a lot of fond memories from old BrickCons of going here, because when I was first getting into LEGO around the very early years of me getting interested in LEGO as a brand and as a toy, this was one of my first and only ways to actually be able to experience older LEGO sets. I still was kind of learning the ropes of Bricklink. I think I made my first Bricklink purchase like 2010, maybe that was 2009, but BrickCon was basically the biggest way for me to be able to experience older stuff and be able to enjoy what LEGO's history had to offer. And I think it was a big part of why I'm such a big LEGO fan today, was going through BrickCon and making purchases of older sets and used models and being able to see, oh, what cool stuff is LEGO doing nowadays, and what cool stuff were they doing back in the day. And that's one of the beauties of the Brick Bazaar at BrickCon. So I'm going to let this play out. You can take a look at all sorts of amazing, incredible creations here, from light bricks to moving stuff to all sorts of custom capes as well. That was a really cool thing, to custom minifigs, which you can see from Eclipse Graphics here. Just all sorts of amazing LEGO items here for sale, even shirts and all that. They had pretty much any bit of LEGO merchandise that you would want to see. I think this store right here was probably one of my favorites just for the sheer variety of different types of sets on display. I am sure I missed out on quite a lot of sets that I could have really wanted, but I just didn't have time to find, because as you can see, all those grab bins are used sets from many, many years past in LEGO. They were pretty much organized by theme, but there was just so many that I've certainly missed a lot. I mean, I'm trying to collect a lot of the older Technic sets I missed out on. I got a few of them, but I don't think I got all of them. You can see just all of these had the instructions with them, and then you of course have the boxes here. Oh my goodness, I was going nuts just looking at the boxes here, because you look at all those old system boxes just fully sealed up for the most part. Some of them had the boxes but were opened, but still, it was just so cool. I mean, just look at the quantity here. I can't even describe this with words myself, because the sheer abundance of this kind of cornucopia of madness that was the Brick Bazaar was just a sight to behold. I think to me one of the coolest things here was this working little Lego TV. They managed to put in a very, very tiny, I guess, LED screen or whatnot that actually does hold 2 movies inside of it itself, which is so cool to see. I am really impressed that they were able to fit this into such a small package. It was just really cool to see that on a working Lego screen. I really regret not picking one up. I think I was just so caught up in buying the older vintage sets and the old sets that I just completely didn't get a chance. But again, check out Brick Stuff. That was a really cool thing. I might be going and checking them out right now because that was just so cool to see. So, when all was said and done, we had wrapped up the entirety of the Brick Bazaar. I went home and I laid out every single item I had purchased from BrickCon, as well as pretty much every single item I had purchased from a used LEGO store in the past few months, and well, you can see it right here. I have my work cut out for me. At the time of recording this video, I have none of this built yet because I still have a massive backlog of sealed sets. But yeah, you can just see the sheer amount of used items I got. Maybe about like a third of these, I want to say, are from BrickCon itself, which just goes to show the sheer variety of different sets they had on display.
Alright, and with that, we have summed up this amazing overview of BrickCon 2022. I had a fantastic time. It was so good meeting all of you, and of course seeing all the amazing mocks and really cool sets they had for sale as well. Do again let me know in the comments below if you were able to make it to BrickCon. Have you ever been to another LEGO convention perhaps? And what do you think of, personally, one of my favorite LEGO conventions ever? Thank you all so much for tuning in. Be sure to like and subscribe for even more LEGO news, reviews, discussion, and analyses coming your way very soon. Thanks, and bye-bye for now.